anybody who was born basically in the 2000s, their whole life is going to be on social media, on the internet. That's how they are going to be able to find their baby pictures, their baby videos, the time they saw their first word, the amount of information and things they're going to know about themselves before getting to an adult age, to where like adults we had to learn about ourselves through
Yeah,
stories. They're
yeah.
going to be so ahead of the game of who they are as human beings and like specific memories about them, because they're going to have those videos, because
This-
they're going to have those photos. It's kind of scary because we have so much of our lives, I would say, before we start really formulating memories, that we just forget about because we didn't have social media up to a certain point.
No,
But these
yeah.
kids nowadays, they're going to have their whole lives that they can go back to that specific moment with the freaking date stamp
No,
and
yeah.
like
Well,
and
and
see what day and what time they did what. That's a wild to me. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Everything's Okay, a mental health podcast brought to you by Crazy Ant Media. Today, we'll be discussing the topic of aging and how sometimes when you hit those milestone ages, it freaks you out a little bit. I'm kind of going through that right now, so I thought this was a perfect freaking topic. And as always, I'm joined by my father-in-law and co-host, Dustin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. I hit my milestone this year and I loved it. I had been waiting for it, oddly enough. So, yeah, this is going to be a fun one because, yeah, I think it is very interesting that, the differences in our ages and how we're approaching these milestones as we hit them. So,
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I mean, I'm about to turn 29. The day of this recording, I will be turning 29 tomorrow on the 22nd. So that's very exciting. But I mean, the closer I get to the age of 30, that is what's really freaking me out a little bit. And I remember you having the same type of anxieties, I guess, when you were about to turn 50. So I think, I'm hitting my middle age crisis quicker than a lot of people, but it makes sense because I feel like I'm more mature than a lot of people.
well, no, I was right there with you at 29. I had set a goal for myself to have a child before 30.
Right.
And your beautiful wife, my beautiful daughter, arrived at 20. I was 29. So, um, so it's one of those things, but the realization for me, the reason I set that goal for myself, and I apologize for the dings, guys who are listening and watching this. It's like Siri has been giving me all kinds of problems, and the do not disturb is not working today. Um, but what it was, and I've tried to like guide young people and a little bit with just my own. This is kind of thing, but the 20s really are where you kind of just have fun and figure it out. Try all different kinds of things. What do I like? What do I not like? What career am I going to do? Oh, hated that. Let me try a different career. That's what the 20s are for, so that you don't get stuck when you're 40 and regretting life because you didn't have fun and figure it all out. But when you hit 29, you realize, uh-oh, 30's right there. That means the figuring it out is over. I'm supposed to be good to go. So that's what kind of hit me. It's like, yep, playing's over. I've got to have a plan now. I have a baby coming, and I have it's time to be an adult. And so I get it. I feel for you. I really, really do. And on the flip side of that, for me, with what you said, like 50, I think the stark realization, and it's funny because 55 has been so different, and we'll talk about that. But 50 for me, it it was the harsh realization, and I don't know if it was so harsh on me because of all the health problems or the fact of all the people dead in my family or whatever, but it was the harsh reality hitting 50 that I now have less years left than I have lived. And meaning, it's right around the corner whether I want to. Even if I live a long, prosperous life, it's still, I have less years to go than I have behind me. And that's terrifying. It's like, uh oh, I only have this amount of time left. basically if you fall into, average age of the male and female. And that, yeah, that was a terrifying thought to me. It's like, wow, I've, instead of celebrating the fact that I had lived 50 years, I was in dire straits of, I might only have 20 or 25 years left. And that was the scary part.
Yeah, for me, I feel like it it's a little bit of that, not having, I feel like, my life completely together, but knowing that our lives are never going to be completely together.
Right.
So there, you can't put all of your eggs in that basket. But for me, I think it's more of realizing where and when I grew up is now considered nostalgia, right? I'm seeing a lot of things on TikTok. I'm
Yes,
seeing a
yes.
lot of things like on YouTube, watching videos and things like that of like old cartoons and old commercials. Old commercials have really been getting me
Uh,
where I'm like, holy crap, that is absolutely insane. I remember when that came out, and I remember that like specific moment where I saw it for the first time, which is weird because you wouldn't think that with commercials, but it's kind of like getting me into my feels. And it's been like this for the last couple months, I feel like, probably like 2 months as we approach my birthday coming up. And I'm just, I don't want to grow up, and at the same time I do, and I want to be further than I am, and I want to have more, but I also want to remember what it was like not to have any of that responsibility anymore. So like it's just a lot, man. It's a lot. And I mean, plus like we're getting to the point for me specifically where like my body is starting to hurt, or like things don't look as tight as they used to look, or like I have little crow's feet under my eyes. The bags under my eyes don't go away as quick as they used to. Okay,
or
what
at
is up
all.
with that? Yeah, what is up with that? But yeah, it's just been an interesting process that I've been coming to grips with over the past couple months, just trying to wrap my brain around 29.
Well, so I want to touch on a couple things you just said there, because yeah, it's like, I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. Love that. Speaking of old commercials that make you go, what? Oh, shit. When they brought back that jingle for half a second, I was like, damn, that was like way long ago originally.
Right.
But, and yeah, I'm in that same boat. I cringe every time they refer to my 80s as classic oldies or the
Mm.
golden oldies. I'm like, no, it's not. And then I realize, yeah, it's more than 40 years ago. So I guess it is. So I'm right there with you. But I think that we both are doing a good job at, yeah, you have to be an adult, right? You have responsibilities, you have these things that you have to do, and you adulting, right? But I think the key to a successful life and a happy life, and even being a successful adult, is to never lose the child. It's okay to still be a kid. And when you look around, even anybody watching this podcast right now, look, we have toys. I'm wearing a cartoon. Like, I think we do a really good job of being a kid while adulting, not losing that sense of enjoyment, that sense of freedom that kids have to just be crazy and reckless and do fun things. And I think if you can maintain that while holding a level of responsibility and fulfilling your adult responsibilities, then that's where you're going to find the best life and the happy life. And I think, do we have our ups and downs? Of course we do. Everybody does. But I think for the most part, we are finding a way to play every day and still be a kid while adulting and paying our bills and doing what we're supposed to do. So, yay for us. I think we're doing an all right job.
Yes, completely agree. Yeah, because I've been in this mode of going back and watching old movies that I grew up on. Like, for example, I watched the first Final Destination today, like classic 2000s cinema.
Yeah,
Okay, was it
yeah.
good? No, it was not. But it still gave me that 2000s feeling. Or like we went back and watched Terminator 2 the other day, Judgment Day. I've been looking for films that I know were on VHS tapes. And I actually just went along like the whole entire coast yesterday trying to find a VHS player because we have the adapters now because we have a Nintendo Wii, but we want to get a VHS player so that we can play VHS tapes. So
I
I'm
am
very excited about
wondering.
that.
I may have one, a super VHS that
Yeah.
like in my that little table that I have everything stored in, and I
Right.
might actually have one because I did hold on to one because I had tapes
Yeah.
like Emily's little baby stuff, and they were on VHS tapes from the old camcorders, so
Right.
I kept one to be able to watch those. So I might be able to hook you up on that. That's pretty funny. I do remember though VHS, like okay. So back in the day, guys, it didn't come out on streaming like 2 months after it was in the theaters or sometimes on the same day. You had to wait like a year after it left theaters. You had to wait at least a year before you could watch it again. And it was on VHS. You had to wait for the VHS to come out, and it was like a year or two, sometimes longer. And I remember the one that I was the most anticipating. It was like right when VHSs were kind of like at their mainstream peak, and really was the first Batman, the '89 Batman. And waiting to get that damn thing after how awesome it was in the theater, I was just like, when is this thing gonna come out? And so, yeah, the nostalgic factor of kind of missing out on that anticipation, that build up, that joy. Because now you can basically just right after you see it in the theater, watch it at home on TV. And you lose that sense of build up, that sense of anticipation, which gives you all the more excitement when you watch it again after a year, which is kind of like I think what you're doing now, like going back and watching these old films after a long period of time. You get that built up excitement again. And so, yeah, it's just all part of it though, man. I like that's how I really feel. It's just I've been the last few weeks, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks, I've been going back and looking at old pictures. And
Hmm.
some of them make me very happy, and some of them make me very sad. I'm like, oh, look at that. I was like 128 pounds, not an ounce of fat on me. I'm chiseled. I have a square jaw. Where is that guy? And I get really sad. And then I'm like, but you know what? I'm not bad right now. I'm rocking the dad bod, and that's okay because that's what happens. You get older. But going back and look at, and then I get nostalgia because I see all these old pictures, and I cry sometimes. It's like I remember when I was the center of Emily's world, and all these pictures of her just cuddling with dad and always wanting to be with dad. And there's all these like, and she wasn't scared to show emotion. She's hugging and kissing and doing it. And now my baby's an adult, and she has a man, and she's like, and daddy's not the center anymore. And so I love that, and am sad about that. And I think that's just normal for any parent, right? And I like to mess with her about that. But it's just, but I'm having a really good time. And I think sometimes when you begin to age and when you begin to start to realize where you're at in life and everything, going back and looking at those memories fondly and remembering is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I think to go back and look is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, most definitely. I talk with my parents all the time about how it's weird where you've come up and grow up with this family and you see them every day. You're doing things that you don't even necessarily think are important,
No,
making
yeah.
memories that you don't think are important. And then one day it just changes and you
Yeah.
see them once a week, once a month, what have you. And like that's why on Mother's Day, I went over there and we normally go through picture albums of when I was little, but I was like, we haven't done the digital form yet, okay? So we broke out the freaking hard drive. We broke out
Yes.
Facebook albums and we like hooked up our HDMI to the TV and looked at everything that, because photo albums are differently
No.
now. They are very digital format to where
Yes.
like you as children out there, if you are a child or as a teenager listening to this, or anybody who was born basically in the 2000s, their whole life is going to be on social media, on the internet. That's how they are going to be able to find their baby pictures, their baby videos, the time they saw their first word, the amount of information and things they're going to know about themselves before getting to an adult age to where like adults we had to learn about ourselves
Yeah.
through stories.
Yeah.
They're going to be so ahead of the game of who they are as human beings and like specific memories about them because they're going to have those videos, because they're going to have those photos. It's kind of scary because we have so much of our lives, I would say, before we start really formulating memories that we just forget about because we didn't have social media up to a certain point.
No,
But
yeah.
these kids nowadays, they're going to have their whole lives that they can go back back to that specific moment with the freaking date
No,
stamp,
yeah.
like,
Well,
and see what day and what time they did what.
and
That's a wild to me.
And it's even worse if you have those parents. See,
Yeah.
Emily was born right there, 99. So it like she wasn't even a year old when the first digital cameras started to come out. And me and her mom, relentless. We'd take 100 pictures a day of her, you know, and it was overboard. And I have just albums after albums after albums on disc or hard drives and stuff of like you would never take that many photos with a camera. Paying to develop all that shit, you'd be broke. Like you'd never have a dime to your name. But it was oh my God, I can capture every moment with the timestamp. It's like going back. And before there were video, it was just pictures, but you could play them. And it was like watching a little movie timeline of watching your baby grow up. And it was like, oh my God, so I get that. I get how it's so different for people born 2000 and after, right? It's kind of like the same thing with my age where I'm that generation where we had none of that technology and then we're part of when that technology became real, right? Like going from the wall phone to the cell phone or to the digital television or the cable box that you didn't have to have a cable and push buttons on or whatever. Well, I was the part of that revolution. And so then seeing the kids born into a world where that already exists, boy, that'll age you. That'll be like, shit, they don't even know what a rotary phone is. What do you mean you had to spin dial? Or like, it's like, that will age you quicker than shit. But I don't know, man. I struggle like you, the body, I still feel 25. I still feel like that 128-year-old ripped, chiseled, go out there and get 'em guy. But the body as you age certainly does remind you very quickly, hey, yo, no, we're not. Put the brace on. Remember the brace. Or like you said, it takes a little bit longer now to recover from that hike that you went on. So, yeah, it's just, it's difficult, but I think if you just, aging's fun. If you make it fun, it can be a good thing.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. It's not all bad
No.
because with age, you do learn a lot of things. You do learn how to have difficult conversations without you getting mad.
Yeah,
You
no.
do learn how to maneuver different situations throughout life. And sometimes when you weigh options, you realize that no matter which decision you make, it's probably going to turn out the same way. The outcome is inevitable. So, I mean, with past experiences, with traumas, with happy moments, you learn how to navigate life better. And that's everyone's own personal journey. And I think that's very important because we talk about the transition between the family that you are born with and then the family that you make when you get older, marrying into a family and things like that with your friends, what have you. And you start to become your own person. You become the person that your parents helped lay the groundwork for, but now you're completely out on your own and you have that independence, you have that individuality to where you are able to make creative, loving, insightful decisions all by yourself. And that's the beautiful thing about getting older and going through life and finding your
Yeah.
people because you do find clarity, you find confidence. We talked about this one a lot. You find how to set your own personal boundaries.
Yeah.
I think all of those things are so, so vital for who you become as a human being. And that only comes with age and time because you're not going to get that from a Facebook video that you saw when you were
No.
5 years
No.
old. That comes with the journey and the footsteps that you paved along your own personal path.
And I think too, it's you have to come to this realization in your own mind that as you are becoming your own self and you have this different family now and you like this world of things that you're living, you also have to find that realization that you're also still that family. You're still
Mhm.
that person. And that could be something as simple as you see yourself in the mirror realizing you just did a mannerism or a move that you did as a child, or you and your mom are in a current picture and you're doing the same thing type thing. That's the realization too. Just because you're moving into your own space and you're creating your own thing or whatever doesn't mean that those don't exist anymore. Doesn't mean that that's not a part of you. That's always going to be a part of who you are. That family is still family. It's always family. It's always going to be family. And to remember that, so that when you do have those moments where you think like, you're not there anymore, or it's been abandoned, or it's you feel guilt for having this or having that. It's like, no, it's all a part of it. When the first time I'm gonna tell you right now, I look forward to the first time I see my grandbaby make a gesture that I make. Because it's going to happen. It will be in there. It's just, that's how it works. And it's going to be like, oh, look at that. And so you just have to remember that. It's all a part of the journey. It's all how it moves. It's all how it works. And if you can keep that in check, then you're going to be okay.
Agreed. And I mean, you have to remember as well that everybody is on their own personal
Oh,
path, and there is no really right or wrong way to age when it comes to trying to become a more mature adult, because you have to continue to keep just trying to find yourself. You're
yeah.
never going to try everything out. And that's the importance of, like you said earlier in the episode, trying different things and being able to say, hey, I don't like this. Hey, I love this. Trying to forge your own path, because it is good to follow other people's footsteps, but you have to know that that's not your own personal path. So
Right.
you can take a few steps in somebody else's, but always remember to pave your own path, whether parallel or completely the opposite, because you have to become your own person. I see so many people out there that just become their parents,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
either take over their parents' business. They had that basically planned since they were a baby.
Right.
You have to be able to become your own person and become the own light of your own personal life, so that you can figure out who you're going to be as a parent. Because if you keep doing the same thing, that may or may not turn into things like generational trauma or different things like that. So I think it's very important to follow certain people that you idolize and adore, but also make your own decisions,
I
be your own
like
person.
I like the wording that you used, parallel. You can take the same path, but have it be your own journey. The destination will be the same. If this is a person who you view as a mentor or as an idol, as you said, or it's a father figure or a mother figure or something, and you want to follow, you want to be eventually where they're at and see what they, you can do that without having to walk that path. You can walk a parallel path that will get you to the same destination but allows you to make it your own. So I like that comparison. It's like, it doesn't mean you're not going to end up at the destination that you want. It doesn't mean you're not going to be able to do the things that you want with the person. It just means you're going to be doing it in a different journey, on a different path. That, like, and that's the beauty of it, right? That so many paths end in the same destination, in the same location, because that's what it's really all about. And yeah, I love that comparison. I like the word parallel. It's just, sometimes parallel paths have different shit along them. They can be side by side, but this one might have some shit in it, and this one might not. So you have to do these little veers and kind of make it your own. And so, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, while you're going through your own journey and through your own path, you are continuing evolving,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I always talk about all the time how I feel like I've lived multiple different lives. And I think that's what it's about when you age. Like, I think I'm starting to become a version of me that I really enjoy, that I really like, that I really prioritize. But with me getting older, how is that going to change with next new steps, right? Because it doesn't mean fixing anything that I have going on when I get older. It just means trying to reshape, resculpt, rebrand the person who I am. And like I said, and like I keep saying, since I was 19 years old, coming into a new studio and joining Crazy Ant Media and doing all of these amazing things. Once I feel like I don't have to learn anymore, that's when I get left behind. And that's when
Yes.
people get left behind because
Yes.
they don't continue to learn. So that's just the thing. I mean, it's a lot to think about when you're own in your own individual head, in your own individual space, when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not where I want to be. Oh my gosh, I'm looking a little bit older. I have gray hairs, and yes, I have gray hairs, and I embrace them. I'm
Me
not
too.
hiding from them. I'm not hiding from them. But it is one of those things where I'm just like, this is the version of me that will continue being successful, continue moving forward, and knows how to battle and, confront mental health struggles.
Yeah.
I say me at least 5 years ago had really no idea how to approach certain situations in life, whether it be my own thing or with other individuals. But through this podcast and through my own individual journey with therapy and all of the different people and that have come and supported me throughout the years, I think it's important to learn how to rebrand and rescope so you can know how to approach any situation, whether that be with someone else, whether it be like lovingly or disobediently or, disagreeingly, or just with your internal thing, making decisions or trying to find self confidence. I think all of this is important, and you learn this, like I said earlier, along the way on your own individual journey. So I think it's very important to keep that mindset of continuing to just keep moving forward. And if you change a little bit, that is okay.
Yeah, I like that. I think because, hey guys and gals, it's called living.
Yes.
You live until you die. And if you so that you're constantly supposed to be evolving and changing, and because if it not, it means you're not living anymore. It means you're dead. So like, it's all part of it. It's like that's why they call it living. It's like you can't stop evolving. You can't stop learning. You can't stop changing or adapting or adding or subtracting because that is what it's about. The person that came out is not going to be the person that goes into the ground or cremated or whatever you believe or don't believe. That's not going to be the same person. And if it is, you didn't live life. You did something wrong because the evolution of who you are when you start and who you are when you finish, you should be two drastically different people. Let me clarify. Like, I think who you inherently are as a person, your soul, your morality, what you believe, that never changes. But who you are, your identity, your brand, as you said, that should wholeheartedly change. That should not be the same as what it starts and when it finishes. And if it is, like I said, I think that you missed living. and and aging doesn't mean stop living. I want to emphasize that because it's the whole point of this episode is aging. But aging does not mean stop living. You're still here. Go out there and get it. Like enjoy it.
Most definitely. And I think now is the time where we should list our biggest pro and our biggest con of aging. For me, biggest pro, I feel like, I love the person who I'm spending the rest of my life with. I think that
Yeah.
is an absolute blessing to be able to find a partner and go through life with someone who understands me and continues to learn me every single day as I do them. So I think that is the biggest pro for sure. And the biggest con is I hate wasting time.
Mm.
And I feel like, in the past gone through many different situations, whether it be with mental health stuff or with different things where I feel like it was time wasted and you can't get that time back. So that's the only thing I regret, but I don't even fully 100% regret that because everything is a learning experiences, and throughout the journey you always learn something. So it's like a pro con. It's a pro con. So there it is. It kind of sounds like a protractor, but it's not. It's
No,
not.
no, two totally different things. I like that though, because and just so anybody that might be listening to it, and it's like there's a difference between wasting time and slowing down.
Yeah.
Slowing down, taking things a little bit easier, smelling the roses a little bit longer on the trail, that's not wasting time. Just because you didn't get there as quick as you did before doesn't mean you wasted time. It just means you're slowing it down a little bit. And as
It
we
means you're
age,
taking care of
guys
yourself.
and gals, that's part of it. We slow down a little bit. It's okay. I think, I mean, anybody who's listened to this podcast or our other podcasts or just has worked with us or knows us in general, I think it's easy for me to list my pro about aging. I'm still fucking here.
Yeah.
That's the pro. If you know my family history, if you know my health history, the pro, I'm still here getting old. And I am thankful every damn day that I am getting old. Because a lot of my relatives and family did not get the opportunity to get old. And so I take aging as a blessing every single day. I definitely think the biggest con in aging is learning that you while you're still living, you're still evolving, you're still having the adventure, you're still on the journey. Things that you were once able to do, you have to understand that you cannot anymore. And you have to get to the point where that's something that you have to say, okay, I can't play back to back to back to back matches of tennis anymore. Maybe I can only go out there and play one set, right? And I think that's my biggest con is I'm still not there yet. I'm still like, I can do this, and then I pay for it, kind of a thing. That's the con, in my opinion, of aging is losing the ability sometimes to do the things you love the most. And the reason I brought that up as my con is because I want people to understand it doesn't mean you have to stop doing it. It just means you have to settle in and understand that there's a limit to how much you can do it or how far you can do it or take it. And if you learn that, you're still going to do it. You're still going to have fun at it. And it just, like, don't let that cripple you. But for me right now, at 55, it's a con because I'm still struggling with it. Oh, and side bonus, 55 and older discounts. What?
Yeah.
I've been waiting. As I hit 50, I'm like, I'm so close. I'm so there. Free coffee, free baskets. Certain days I can get shit free at the grocery store. It's like, hell yes.
Especially in this economy, man.
Oh, yeah.
I feel it. I feel that. Oh, my goodness. But everybody remember that aging isn't a problem. It's just a plot twist.
Yeah.
I like that. Yes. Just continue moving forward. Everybody's on their own journey. And, we're all forging our own paths. And that's for sure. It's a pro and a con at the same time, but it's all a learning experience. And you all know that this podcast is meant for anyone who's ever had an uphill battle with mental health.
Which are more difficult when you're old.
Yeah, exactly.
Every uphill is a battle.
But you have to continue moving forward.
That's right.
That is for sure. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or just want to reach out, please feel free to do so at info@crazyantmedia.com. We will get it. We will share it if you want. We won't if you don't. And follow this podcast at Everything's OKP on X and Instagram, and like and subscribe to the podcast and all the good things. Next time, we'll be talking about freaking memories that make or break us. Man, oh man, we're getting close to that 50 episode mark, so that's very exciting.
Right? Like,
podcast.
What?
Yeah,
I feel so
absolutely.
old.
Yeah, exactly. It's so old.
What do you mean we're already at 50? Like, what?
Our podcast is going through a midlife crisis.
I mean,
already.
come on, 300 on one, 50 on the other. We must be old. Shit.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. But of course, it's very important